The Alliance's Edge. The emergency transmission cut through the Alliance Council chamber like a blade of ice. The holographic display flickered violently before stabilizing to reveal Admiral Torizak, her scaled features contorted in pain. Blood, purple and thick, oozed from a gash across her forehead ridge. Under heavy fire, the Vorathi. They'd broken through in Sector 9. Static consumed her image momentarily before it returned, shakier than before. They'd deployed planet killers. Billions, dead already. This wasn't a border skirmish. It's a full invasion. The transmission ended abruptly with the sound of an explosion. Silence gripped the vast chamber for 3 heartbeats before chaos erupted. 52 species represented in the Galactic Alliance, 52 voices now shouting over each other in panic and outrage. The Vorathi Dominion had been aggressive for decades, but this was unprecedented. Commander Ilara Hayes stood motionless at the back of the chamber, watching. As one of only 7 human representatives, she'd grown accustomed to being overlooked by the older Alliance members. Humanity was the newcomer, having joined only 30 years ago, practically yesterday in galactic politics. High Counselor Vereen, a towering Andorian with iridescent crystalline skin, slammed her ceremonial staff against the floor 3 times. The boom echoed, gradually silencing the chamber. "This is no longer containable," Vereen's voice reverberated. "The Dominion has crossed the final line. We must authorize full war mobilization across all Alliance systems." Voices rose again in agreement, in fear, in bloodlust. The Zexarian Alliance had maintained an uneasy peace with the Vorathi for nearly 3 centuries. That peace now lay shattered. Ilara felt a nudge at her side. Ambassador Keflon, the senior human diplomat, nodded toward the center platform. "Now," he whispered. Taking a deep breath, Ilara stepped forward. "High Council, I request permission to speak." All eyes turned toward her. Compound eyes, singular eyes, sensory organs that weren't eyes at all but served the same purpose. Many narrowed in annoyance at the human interruption. "The human contingent has been recognized," Vereen stated formally, though her tone suggested impatience. Ilara moved to the central platform, feeling the weight of alien gazes. Most Alliance species towered over humans. The smallest present were the Valori, and they still stood a head taller. "Honorable Council, we face total war." The Dominion's attack was calculated to provoke exactly this response. Mass mobilization, fleets gathering, planets fortifying. They're prepared for this. They want this. Murmurs of disagreement rippled through the chamber, but Ilara continued. "The military math is simple. Even with our combined fleets, the conflict will last decades. Billions more will die. Entire worlds will burn." She paused, letting the gravity of her words sink in. "But there's another way." The humans proposed surrender, sneered Dravhak, the Carathan representative, his barbed exoskeleton bristling. "We propose victory," Ilara replied evenly, "but not through conventional warfare." She activated her personal projector. Above the platform materialized images of small stealth vessels, specialized equipment, and tactical simulations. "Humanity has been the Alliance's newest member, but we've been fighting wars among ourselves for millennia before we reached the stars. We've learned that sometimes the biggest conflicts are resolved not by the largest armies, but by the smallest, most precise operations." The council chamber grew quiet, attention fixed on the rotating projections. "I propose Operation Shadow Protocol, a specialized team, primarily human, supported by key Alliance specialists. Our mission: infiltrate Vorathi space, gather critical intelligence on their command structure, and, if possible, neutralize their leadership." Outrage erupted. Councillor Zithral, his tentacles writhing in agitation, howled. "Assassination. You propose dishonorable murder. I propose preventing genocide." Ilara countered sharply. "The Vorathi just murdered billions. They'll kill billions more. Honor won't save those lives." High Counselor Vereen studied Ilara carefully. Commander Hayes, what you suggest violates centuries of galactic warfare conventions. Conventions the Vorathi just shredded. Ambassador Keflon interjected, joining Ilara on the platform. We aren't proposing this lightly. But humans understand asymmetric warfare in ways many Alliance species don't. Our history is full of examples where small teams changed the course of conflicts. The chamber descended into heated debate. Species divided along philosophical lines, those who valued tradition and honor against those desperate enough to try the human way. 3 hours later, the vote came, 28 for, 24 against. Shadow Protocol was approved, but barely. As the council dispersed, Vereen approached Ilara privately. The Andorian's crystalline features caught the light, refracting it in patterns that humans had learned to recognize as concern. You have 72 hours to assemble your team and deploy, Commander. After that, the full fleet mobilizes regardless. She hesitated. The Council believes this mission is doomed. They only approved it to give traditional forces more preparation time. Ilara nodded. I understand, High Counselor. Do you? If you're captured, the Alliance will disavow all knowledge of your operation. You and your team will face Vorathi interrogation alone. Some risks are worth taking. Vereen's crystalline features shifted in what humans had learned was their equivalent of a sad smile. That's precisely why we allowed humans into the Alliance, despite objections. Your species understands sacrifice in ways ours have forgotten. 48 hours later, aboard the stealth frigate Nightshade, Ilara reviewed her assembled team. 6 humans, each elite in their specialties, plus 3 Alliance aliens chosen for critical capabilities. Major Garrett Chen, demolitions and heavy weapons expert, was running final checks on their arsenal. Dr. Maya Singh, xenobiologist and medical officer, calibrated her equipment. Captain Nikolay Volkov, pilot and navigation specialist, studied Vorathi space maps. Lieutenant Sophia Rivera handled communications and electronic warfare. Sergeant Rex Davidson, the team's sniper, methodically cleaned his custom rifle. And Lieutenant Jake Harrison, infiltration specialist, practiced with his adaptive camouflage suit. The non-human members were equally impressive. Krelvor, a 4-armed civilian master hacker who could interface directly with computer systems through neural connections. Tizara, a Valori stealth specialist whose species' natural chameleonic abilities made her nearly undetectable. And finally, San, a Trexian engineer whose understanding of Vorathi technology was unmatched in Alliance space. Final briefing. Ilara announced, activating the central holographic display. Our target is the Vorathi Command Citadel on Dominar Prime. Intelligence suggests the attack orders originated there. The hologram displayed a massive fortress suspended over a volcanic caldera, surrounded by defense systems. Conventional wisdom says this facility is impenetrable, she continued. That's why we're not using conventional methods. The plan was audacious. Using stolen Vorathi transport codes, they would approach through a hazardous asteroid field that the Dominion considered a natural defense. The small Nightshade could navigate it. Larger vessels couldn't. Once near Dominar Prime, they would deploy in 2 teams, infiltration and diversion. Questions? Ilara asked after outlining the operation. Tizera, her skin shifting through subtle color patterns, spoke first. Commander, my people have warred with the Vorathi for generations. They are ruthless but not stupid. This plan assumes much will go our way. Most military plans do, replied Ilara. That's why we've built in contingencies for every phase. And why this team was selected. Everyone here can improvise when plans fail. The Valori nodded, seemingly satisfied. I have concerns about our intelligence, Krelvor interjected, his 4 hands moving in constant nervous patterns. The transport codes are 3 days old. In my experience, the Vorathi rotate security protocols every 5 days during peacetime. During active operations, probably daily. That's why you're going to slice into their network the moment we're in range. Ilara confirmed. "We need you to get us fresh codes before approach." The civilian's eyes widened. "From inside an asteroid field, while avoiding detection. That's challenging. That's why you're here instead of any other hacker in Alliance space," Chen said with a grim smile. As the team dispersed to final preparations, San, the Trixian engineer, approached Ilara privately. His species' exoskeleton clinked softly as he moved. "Commander, there is something troubling about this conflict." His voice was low, mandibles clicking anxiously. "The attack pattern does not match historical Vorathi tactics. I've studied their military doctrine extensively, and this feels wrong." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Wrong how?" "The Vorathi are expansionists, yes. Aggressive, certainly. But they are methodical. They secure territories fully before advancing. This multi-sector simultaneous strike, it's reckless, even for them." Before Ilara could respond, alarms blared. Captain Volkov's voice came through the intercom. "Commander, to the bridge. We have an unidentified vessel approaching." On the bridge, the tactical display showed a small craft matching their course. "Configuration unknown," reported Rivera from communications. "Not broadcasting identification, but they're transmitting on a secure Alliance frequency." "Impossible," muttered Volkov. "Nobody knows we're out here." "Open channel," ordered Ilara. The view screen flickered, revealing a figure shrouded in darkness. When it spoke, the voice was artificially distorted. "Shadow Protocol vessel, this is Krell. I have information critical to your mission." "Identify yourself properly," Ilara demanded. "Impossible. My position is complicated, but I can tell you that your mission is compromised before it begins. The Vorathi know you're coming." Tension electrified the bridge. "Why should we believe you?" Chen asked, hand hovering near his sidearm. "Because I can provide you with something more valuable than belief. Proof." The figure leaned forward slightly. "The operation that destroyed Admiral Torazek's fleet wasn't conducted by standard Vorathi forces. It was a Black Ops team under direct control of Warlord Krasur, and they had help from within your Alliance." Silence gripped the bridge. A traitor in the Alliance would explain how the Vorathi had penetrated so deeply into protected space. "If I allow you to dock," Ilara said carefully, "you'll be scanned and detained until we verify your information." "I expected nothing less, Commander Hayes." Chen looked sharply at Ilara. "They know your name." "Everyone on this mission is a ghost," Rivera added. "Our identities were classified at the highest level." The mysterious Krell seemed to shrug. "Which only proves my point about your Alliance being compromised. Now, shall we continue this conversation in person, or would you prefer to proceed to Dominar Prime and walk into a trap?" Ilara studied the shadowy figure. Everything in her training screamed caution. But her instincts, the same instincts that had kept her alive through 3 planetary conflicts, whispered that this was a turning point. "Secure docking protocols," she ordered. "Full security team on standby." As the mysterious vessel began its approach, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that the true nature of this conflict was about to reveal itself, and that humanity's first major role in galactic affairs might be more pivotal than anyone had imagined. Turning the tide, the being that called itself Krell stepped aboard the Nightshade under the unwavering aim of 5 weapons. Its appearance startled even the alien members of the team. A bipedal figure covered in reflective scales that shifted color continuously, making it difficult to focus on directly. Its face was obscured by an environmental mask that revealed nothing of its features. "Weapons detection negative," reported Davidson, scanning the visitor. "No communication devices, no explosives. I come unarmed." Krell's distorted voice stated simply, "My information is my only weapon, and the one you desperately need." In the secure briefing room, Krell projected a series of classified Vorathi military communications. Authentication codes matched known patterns, and the tactical data aligned perfectly with the attacks they'd witnessed. "The Dominion leadership didn't authorize this war," Krell explained. This is a coup orchestrated by Warlord Krazier and his faction, with support from elements within your alliance. Which elements? Demanded Ilara. The Mercantile Consortium. 6 of your council species have been funneling weapons, intelligence, and technology to Krazier for years. They'd profit from conflict. Always have. That's a serious accusation, Ambassador Kethlon said, having joined the briefing remotely. What proof do you have? Krell transmitted another data packet. Financial transactions, communication logs, supply route documentation. Your consortium members have been preparing for this war for 7 years. As Rivera verified the data's authenticity, Ilara studied their mysterious informant. What's your stake in this? Why help us? The mask turned toward her. Because neither the Dominion nor the Alliance will survive this conflict. The consortium doesn't just want profit, they want to weaken both major powers until they can establish themselves as the dominant force. Chen scoffed. The consortium species aren't militarily powerful. They don't need to be, Krell countered, if everyone else destroys each other first. Hours later, after verifying what they could of Krell's information, the team gathered around the tactical table. The original mission parameters were now obsolete. If Krell's intelligence is accurate, Ilara began, our target isn't the command citadel. It's Warlord Krazier himself, and we need him alive, not dead, to expose this conspiracy. Volkov shook his head. His personal battleship is even more heavily defended than the citadel. Not from the inside, Krell interjected. I can get you aboard. All eyes turned to the mysterious figure. How? Asked Tizara, suspicion evident. Because I served on that vessel. Before I left the Dominion service. Understanding dawned across the room. Krell was a defector, perhaps the highest-ranking Vorathi defector in the history of the conflict. You're risking everything, Ilara observed. Why? Because both our civilizations are being manipulated into extinction, Krell replied simply. Someone must stop it. The revised plan was even more audacious than the original. Using Krell's access codes and knowledge, they would board Krazier's battleship during a scheduled maintenance cycle. While the main team captured the Warlord, Krellvor would extract the data proving consortium involvement directly from Krazier's secure servers. As they prepared for the operation, Ilara found Krell alone in the observation bay, staring out at the distant stars. You haven't removed your mask once since coming aboard, she noted. Would it make you more comfortable if I did? It would make me trust you more. After a moment's hesitation, Krell reached up and detached the environmental mask. Ilara couldn't hide her shock. Beneath the mask was a face that appeared almost human. Not exactly. The eyes were larger, the skin had a subtle metallic sheen, and fine scale patterns traced the temples. But the resemblance was uncanny. You're a hybrid, Ilara whispered. The first successful one. My Vorathi father was a scientist. My mother was human, a researcher captured during early contact with your species. They fell in love, against all protocols. Krell's unmodulated voice had a musical quality. When the Hardliners learned of my existence, they killed my parents and tried to kill me. I've been hiding, working against them ever since. Why didn't you tell us immediately? Would you have trusted me? Krell asked, or assumed I was a bioengineered infiltrator. Ilara couldn't argue with that logic. 12 hours later, their shuttle docked with Krazier's battleship, the Voidhammer, using maintenance codes Krell provided. Disguised as technical contractors, the team split into their assigned groups. Ilara led the capture team, herself, Chen, Davidson, and Tizara, toward the Warlord's private quarters. Krell guided them through service corridors, avoiding patrols with insider knowledge of security rotations. Meanwhile, Krellvor, Harrison, and Xan headed for the central data core. Singh and Volkov remained with the shuttle, ready for a rapid extraction. Everything proceeded according to plan until they reached Krazier's quarters. The doors slid open to reveal not the Warlord, but an entire squad of elite Vorathi guards, clearly expecting them. Ambush, shouted Chen, as plasma fire erupted. The team took cover behind structural pillars as energy bolts scorched the corridor. Through her tactical display, Ilara saw the data team reporting similar resistance. "We've been betrayed," Davidson growled, eyes locking on Krell. The hybrid raised empty hands. "Not by me. There must be another information leak." Before Ilara could respond, her comm crackled. "Commander, it was Krellvor. I've breached their network. Krazer isn't here. He's in the war room 3 decks down. And there's someone with him. A consortium representative." A new plan formed instantly in Ilara's mind. "Tzara, use your camouflage. Get to the shuttle and tell Volkov to be ready for a hot extraction. Everyone else, we're fighting our way to the war room." What followed was a desperate battle through the massive battleship. The human members demonstrated why their species was feared in close-quarters combat. Adaptable, ruthless, and unconventional. Chen used shaped charges to breach walls instead of fighting through defended corridors. Davidson provided precision cover fire that incapacitated rather than killed, minimizing the alarm response. When they finally breached the war room, they found Warlord Krazer, a towering, heavily armored Vorathi, standing over a holographic battle map with a Denari, one of the consortium species. "It ends now, Warlord," Ilara announced, weapon trained on the Vorathi leader. Krazer turned slowly, seemingly unsurprised. "Humans," he rumbled, "always interfering where you don't belong." The Denari attempted to flee, but Harrison materialized from stealth mode, blocking the exit. "Ambassador Vostell," Krell identified the consortium member, "chief advocate for war in your council and primary investor in Denari munitions production." "You understand nothing," hissed the Denari. "This war is inevitable. We merely profit from the inevitable, while ensuring it happens," Ilara countered. She turned to Krazer. "Your coup isn't sanctioned by the Dominion leadership, is it? You've gone rogue with consortium backing." The warlord's facial plates shifted in what might have been the Vorathi equivalent of a sneer. "The Dominion grows weak with age. Change requires blood. Your own people will execute you for this," Krell said softly. "Only if they learn of it," Krazer growled, suddenly lunging toward a control panel. Davidson fired, a perfect shot that severed the warlord's arm at the shoulder. The massive Vorathi crashed to the ground, howling in pain but still alive. Krellvor rushed to the command terminal. "I've got everything. Financial transfers, communication logs, battle plans. The conspiracy is fully documented. Transfer it to Alliance Command and the Vorathi High Dominion simultaneously," Ilara ordered. "Transparency is our only play now." As Krellvor worked, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Reinforcements incoming," warned Chen from the doorway. "We've got minutes, maybe less. Shuttles in position," Tzara reported through comms. "But we've got Vorathi interceptors moving to block our escape vector." Ilara made a split-second decision. "Krell, can you pilot this battleship?" The hybrid's eyes widened. "Theoretically, with command overrides. But, no buts. We're taking this ship. It's the only evidence that matters now." What followed was the most daring hijacking in galactic history. With Krell accessing command protocols and Volkov remotely aiding navigation, they managed to lock down sections of the massive vessel and vent others to space, neutralizing most of the crew without killing them. As they secured the bridge, Rivera established communication channels to both Alliance Command and Vorathi High Dominion leadership simultaneously. The evidence streamed to both powers, irrefutable proof of the conspiracy. "This is Commander Ilara Hayes of Alliance Special Operations," she broadcast. "We have seized Warlord Krazer's vessel and are transmitting proof of an unauthorized military action and conspiracy involving consortium elements. Warlord Krazer launched attacks without Dominion authorization, backed by corrupt Alliance members. The responses were swift and dramatic. The Vorathi Dominion immediately ordered all their forces to stand down, disavowing Krazer's actions. The Alliance Council convened an emergency session, the implicated consortium members placed under immediate arrest. 3 days later, aboard the Alliance flagship Celestial Justice, Ilara and her team stood before the combined leadership of both the Alliance and the Dominion, former enemies now united in shock and cautious cooperation. Your actions prevented a war that would have devastated both our civilizations, acknowledged High Counselor Vereen. Though your methods were unconventional. The Vorathi Supreme Commander, a massive figure even more imposing than Krasir, inclined his head slightly. The Dominion acknowledges its oversight in allowing Krasir's faction to gain such power. We are grateful for the intervention, however unusual the source. His gaze shifted to Krell, who stood uncomfortably under the combined scrutiny of both governments. As for you, Hybrid, your existence remains problematic. But your actions have earned consideration. What happens now? Ilara asked, looking between the assembled leaders. Now, said Vereen, we rebuild trust. Slowly, the consortium members will face justice. New protocols will be established. The Supreme Commander nodded. And perhaps dialogue. Your human approach, small teams, precise action, diplomacy through strength, it has merit we had not considered. As the formal proceedings concluded, Ambassador Keflon approached Ilara privately. You realize what you've done, don't you? Prevented a war, I hope. More than that, you've changed how species interact in this galaxy. For centuries, conflicts were massive, conventional, predictable. You showed another way, human ingenuity applied to galactic problems. Ilara glanced at her team, humans and aliens alike, exhausted but proud. It wasn't just humans. It took all of us. Yes, Keflon agreed with a smile, but it was human thinking that made it possible. Your adaptability, your willingness to trust Krell despite every reason not to, your readiness to change plans midstream. As they looked out at the assembled dignitaries, former enemies now cautiously speaking, planning, cooperating, Ilara realized humanity had finally found its role in the galactic community, not as the strongest or most advanced species, but perhaps as the most adaptable. In preventing a war no one could stop, humans had changed the game entirely.